Well, welcome everyone to Beyond Pink's podcast. My name is Jessica Southwick, and I'm Beyond Pink's Executive Director, and we're happy to have you all tuning in for our 5th episode. Today, I'm joined by Stacey Henry, a longtime Beyond Pink supporter and volunteer. If you have been to our event in the last couple of years, chances are you met Stacey in our silent auction room. Yeah. She has been invaluable in making sure that part of the event goes smoothly. So. Yeah. Chances are you've met a lot of our listeners.
Probably, yeah. Yeah. It's nice meeting a lot of different people. So.
Yeah. Stacey has an amazing story and has directly benefited from Beyond Pink and the technology of thermography. So I wanted to make sure that her story was shared because yours is a really powerful story, and we got to talk about it a lot last year when we were filming our testimonial. So I felt like that was a perfect caveat into kind of educating people a little bit more about what can happen when we implement some of those things we learned from our thermogram.
Oh, totally.
So I'll just jump right in. We have a few questions for you. First of all, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, your family, that kind of thing.
So I'm Stacey Henry. I have a blended family with 4 kids. My husband did pass away about 5 years ago of cancer. So we've been dealing with the effects of that. But 2 of my biological children, one lives over in the Bellevue area and one lives here in Spokane. I'm a grandma of 4. So one of them lives here. And then 3 of them live 2 in Portland and one in Portland and 2 in Nebraska. And then my stepson, well, really my son, lives in the Tri-Cities. So, yeah. So we're a pretty busy, active family, and so spend a lot of time, outdoors and a lot of time with family. I work remotely, even before COVID. I've been working remotely for about 15 years. I work for a large publishing company on the East Coast. So that keeps me a little busy.
Yeah,
just a little busy.
What is your background and how did you hear about Beyond Pink?
So I heard about Beyond Pink from a friend of mine because I was currently running a nonprofit in Spokane, and they needed volunteers, and it turns out that it was Beyond Pink, and I got exposed to this amazing fashion show and this high energy group and well-organized group, and I fell in love. And I fell in love with the work, the people, and all of the different benefits that come with that. And I think I've volunteered ever since then in some capacity or another.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, since I've been involved, you've been involved.
Yeah.
So that's a long run.
Well, and it's not only fun, but it's rewarding, and it's one of those things where whether it's standing in the silent auction room helping somebody figure out their phone because they're just not technology sound, or talking through something with a person who's having a rough night, or just being in the big ballroom and watching the faces as these outfits come out, and just the awe and the splendor. And I mean, it's a lot of fun. And then watching the events grow and change and morph and, survive COVID and, work through that and all the different hoops that everybody had to jump through, in order to actually put the event on and do that. So, it's been impressive and fun and worthwhile.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
What drove you to want to get your own thermogram and go through that process?
Normally when you turn in your 40s, even before then you start getting mammograms, and those are not fun, at all. Lots of squishing of lots of things. And so when I heard about thermography, I was like, okay, so this is not painful. It can be proactive. It's giving you a better look at what could be happening than a mammogram does. And they should be used together as kind of like the salt and pepper shaker, right? Yeah. You give them both at the same time. And so it's one of those that you don't want to be exclusively thermogram or exclusively mammograms. So I was curious and did my research and went in for my first one. And it was painless. It was, cold because you have to be in a cold room,
very
right?
cold.
And striking positions I'd never had to do in a mammogram. But at the same time, the results were fascinating. And so it was really cool to get walked through the results and be handed this sheet of paper that says, okay, here's your risks and here's what you need to do to kind of minimize those risks.
Yeah.
So,
what was your experience in getting your first thermogram? Were you nervous? Were you excited? Did it bring up some concerns or feelings?
I think having lost a spouse to cancer, and knowing people who have had in my family who have had mammograms with negative, with results that they came back where there was a fibroid tumor or something in there, or a tumor of some kind, and they didn't know what kind it was. And having different kinds of friends, who've had breast cancer. I think anytime you have one of those tests, right, and you think about the ramifications of, what happens if something comes back, right? Or what happens if. And I think with the thermogram, I wasn't as apprehensive about the results because I knew that there were things that I could do.
Yeah.
I think mammograms are a little more scary for me because then things are a little bit more advanced.
Yeah.
But I think anytime you go into an unknown procedure, you kind of like, okay, it's kind of like walking into, some kind of event or something that you've never done before. You're going to go skydiving for the first time. Okay, well, what happens if the parachute doesn't open, So, but it's one of those things where I think the normal level of anxiety for something that you just don't know.
Yeah.
Right. But I did not in any way, shape, or form have major concerns like I do when I've gone in for mammograms. And I don't have that anymore with mammograms because I have thermography.
Yeah.
And I know what's happening there.
Yeah.
And, it's a preview of what will later show up on a mammogram.
Yeah. So you have that kind of warning light before something's really wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're comfortable, what did your thermogram tell you about your overall
The first
health?
one.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first one did share that I had a lot of, I'm pointing at my left and right side here. My left side had a lot of vein activity and very dense fibrous material. Okay. And normally on my mammograms, I always have to go in and get my left one redone. Okay. And so they're like, oh, we need to. And I'm like, I know we've got a lot of, fibroid stuff in our family, very dense material there. So, it's always one of those where I'm like, you just kind of wonder. The cool thing is that with the thermogram, I could see it all, right? I could see the kind of fogginess of it, and I could see the density, and I could see where it wasn't dense, and I could see what regular breast tissue is supposed to look like. And it's not bad abnormal. It's just knowing your own body. And I'd always known that there was dense material in my left and my right as well, but just more in my left. And so they shared with me, they saw the exact same things that I'd been told in a mammogram. It was really good to see the temperature and how that relates to different things, and how, all the vein activity worked. And, women who know their bodies and do their own self-exams, you can see the veins, on top of your skin, especially if you have thinner skin. Yeah. And so we don't get to see what happens underneath and see all of the, I don't know if the right word is subcutaneous. I don't know, the veins that kind of, are more internal. And so it was really fascinating, as the old science teacher in me, seeing all of this human body kind of at work and what it's doing and how it's doing it. So my results were abnormal. They were, I came out with I think it was a 4
so
on my left
risk.
side. And so the very first one, and they're like, okay, I think it was 4 and 3 or 3 and 2. It was like, my left one was worse.
Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, when I went in for my appointment, they're like, this is what we're seeing. This is how we're seeing it. And they went through different layers of the pictures and all the different things and really explained it to me. And she even, got in there and was feeling around and just kind of showing me, well, do you feel that? Do you feel this? And I'm like, yeah, I do. And she's like, okay, well, that's not bad, but it's not great either. Yeah. And so, there's, we're just letting you know that there's a potential here, right? Yeah. And so I was like, okay. So I took that back, and that happened the year after my husband died. It was my first thermogram. And so I'm sitting here kind of processing through, okay, Lee had just passed. I'm processing that. I'm still grieving. I'm still kind of in this fog. And now someone's telling me that I've got some health issues in my breast that I need to address. And at that point, I was like 240 pounds. Wow. I was not eating well. I had a very sedentary job. My life was very sedentary. Everything, I was still in that fog. But I was heavy even before, Lee passed away. And so I just kind of sat with that for a while and then decided that my kids lost one parent. I didn't want them to lose a second one.
That's a good motivator.
Yeah. Because, women tend to, we identify our breasts as part of our femaleness, right?
Yeah,
and
so.
I think I've talked with women who have had double mastectomies and then been rebuilt, and some that have had double mastectomies and not been rebuilt.
Yeah.
And talked with, one of my girls' aunts on their dad's side who had a double mastectomy and didn't get rebuilt. And she really didn't want anything foreign in her body. She was so aware of putting foreign objects in her body and putting, and not natural things. And, this is, I'm taking this cancer out. I'm getting rid of it. And she's fine, which is, thankfully she's going to be fine. And she went through all of the cancer treatment that she needed to, and she's come out the other end, but she's not rebuilding. That's the right decision for her. But there are other women who've decided that, hey, I need to rebuild, right?
Yeah.
I want my femininity back.
Yeah.
This is part of how I identify as a female. And for me, it was very much the same way. I didn't want anything happening with the girls.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's part of who you are.
Yeah.
It's part of your body. Yeah, that's a huge decision that a lot of people have to make.
And it's not right or wrong, whatever decision you make. It's the decision that you make for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it. So based on your follow-up appointment, what kind of changes did you start to implement in your day-to-day life?
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I know we've talked about this before, so I know there's a long list.
There's a whole laundry list. Okay. So I think the first thing that I did is I went and saw a naturopath. And I'd been on hormone replacement since I was 28. And so I had a complete hysterectomy when I was 28 and after my second child was born. So I'd been on HRT for a long time. And I just didn't feel like me. I wasn't, I would try to lose weight and I couldn't. I would, I was foggy, not even before, losing Lee. And so I decided, I was like, you know what, I need to kind of figure this out, right? And every endocrinologist that I ever went to said, okay, you're this age, you're this weight, you need this dosage. And you're this weight and this height and this, and you need that dosage. And it never seemed to really help. And so for me, the answer was, I want to see what this whole naturopathic thing is all about.
Yeah.
And I started seeing someone who'd been practicing in male-female hormones for over 30 years. And so started working with him and just started kind of figuring out things. And we found my nirvana. We found the point where my heart wasn't racing with my thyroid meds, but I was still feeling good. And the brain fog had kind of gone away a little bit.
Wow.
And my hair quit falling out and I was sleeping better at night. And so the beginning for me was, that year-long process of getting all the chemicals, all the hormones in my body on a level that made me feel good. Yeah. And then through that year process as well, I started working out with a trainer and going in a couple times a week to do that. I started watching what I was eating and got rid of all prepackaged food in the house and just started cooking, being aware of what I was putting into my mouth. Some easier changes. I got rid of all candles in the house.
That's a good one.
I got rid of all air fresheners.
Yes.
I got rid of a lot of scents unless they were naturopathic. They were essential oil based. And there was a lot of research done for that and in that. So that was a really easy one. Getting rid of, spray air fresheners, that kind of thing. Other easy changes were, honestly, I quit wearing a bra. When I'm at home, I wear a tank top and, getting cinched in because I had lymphatic drainage issues. I had lymphatic swelling. And so they're like, well, are you wearing bodysuits? I'm like, I'm 240 pounds. Of course I'm wearing bodysuits, to make me feel better, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't helping my lymph system do what it was meant to do. Not to mention, all the crap I was putting into my body and smelling and putting on my body. And so just making that change of wearing a tank top that's a whole lot looser, giving a little bit support, but I'm not going out and running anywhere. And I work from home and I look presentable. I had a sweater on, so it's not like I'm running around topless, right? But so making that change was really easy as well. And looking into non-underwire bras and other things that were going to give me support, but that weren't going to really constrict my lymph system. And so really started kind of working on those kind of things. And then, I turned 50 about the same time, right? Like 2 years after Lee died, I turned 50. And I started making other changes. Like I ran my first Bloomsday after I turned 50, and I did my first mud run after I turned 50, and I started challenging myself to do things that excuse my language, but that I suck at. I started golfing. Okay, I still am atrocious at golf. I will say that to everyone. And so those of you that have played with me know that I still suck at golf. But challenging myself. I'm an ex-college athlete, and so I didn't have anything that challenged me anymore. Working out with a trainer is great, but I wanted to go out, and I really wanted to find something. Believe it or not, I started gaming as a 50-year-old.
Really?
Yes, I have a gamer tag. Crazy. I just started doing things that I'd never done before. And so each year I try and challenge myself, whether it's international travel to a place that I've always wanted to go, but just to try something new. And that is spiritually refreshing. And so it's not just a physical, you've really got to take care of the spiritual as well. So those are kind of all of the changes that I just started making. And with all of that, I've lost 60 pounds.
Wow.
I'm here, and I'm here for the long run, unless God decides to take me sooner, right? But I'm going to be here for my grandbabies, and it's not easy. There's days that I just want to feed my face and emotionally eat and take care of my stress that way. But I've learned some healthier habits, and it is a learning process, and it's a learning curve, and it's always easy to slip back into what I've known for almost my entire life. But at the same time, there's always that picture of my granddaughter, and I want to be there when she's, learning how to throw a softball or a baseball, and learning how to do the sports stuff. So that's the kind of stuff that really drives me. And those are the big changes that I made, after that first one. And then I went to my second one. Well, COVID happened, so I didn't have one through COVID. And so last year I had mine, and significant changes.
That's amazing.
My left breast is now better than my right breast, so I'm like a 2 here now, right? And really no issues, still fibroid. And so we're working through medications and that kind of stuff that I'm taking that might be, because I don't think my right one changed much, but my left one significantly. So I think I'm at a 2.2 now, or a 2.3. I don't remember exactly what it was, but so I'm not. It's significant, but my left breast was significantly better, at least 2 points lower than it was, which was crazy.
That's huge.
Yeah,
that's exactly. That's kind of our goal. Like you're kind of our star pupil. Like take the advice, implement it, and see how your health can change. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
What was the most difficult thing for you to change?
I think getting on a consistent exercise program. Because it's easy to not get up and go to the gym. It's easy to not get up and go on a walk because there's work, there's house chores. Some people have kids, right? I've got my grandbaby. I'd rather go, spend time with her, right? She's the only one close by. And so, there's significant, options right out there instead of going to the gym. And so one of the things I've done in the last probably year is, okay, you know what? Maybe I don't have to go to the gym, but I can go pick up Sadie and put her in the stroller, and we can go for a /walk run, right? And she can get out and be, put on her cool little shades as a 1-year-old and, her little hat and sunscreen, and we'll just go for a run/walk and, on the Centennial Trail or, wherever. And so it's trying to find a happy medium between always being in the gym, to get healthy, and then spending time, because spiritual health is it's so important as well. And so my family does that for me, and really, helping me be mentally sound, spiritually sound, and physically sound.
Yeah. I try to tell people that you probably have seen our literature. We have a 4-page front and back breast health tips of things you should implement in your day-to-day life to contribute to your breast health. And that's overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's huge. So I always say progress, not perfection.
Yeah, exactly.
Just tackle one thing at a time. That's all we can do.
Yeah. Well, and one of Lee's favorite statements when you've got a big project is, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And it's that overwhelming, and I had to figure out what that first step was going to be, and I didn't quite know it was the right one, but I had to take a step.
Yeah.
And you just have to take a step. So whether it's getting rid of all candles and fragrances in your house, starting with that, and then starting finding some different bras and wearing tank tops. And I'm not small on the upper half. So, tank tops are not like itty bitty, right?
Yeah.
So you have to find, ones that have built-in shelves or whatever, and so it was a choice that you need to make, but it's taking those steps. And the first step is the hardest, but it's also the most important. And then you've got that step going. Okay, so let's take another step. And then let's take another step. So there's definitely easier steps to take. The first one's probably the hardest, whatever step that's going to be, because then you're like, okay, you have to be in the right mindset to start that committed journey, because it is a journey. It really is.
It takes time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you gotta do it.
Well, and you're given more time. I mean, it's one of those things where when you're not taking your health for granted, and you're not taking your time on earth here for granted, you then start to kind of see where all the important parts are.
Yeah.
And Lee's passing helped, the entire family do that and really focus on what was important. And, work not so much. It helps you pay for the family excursions.
Yeah.
It helps you pay for the roof over your head. But when it comes down to it, it's not going to replace a family member.
No.
It's not going to replace those, core memories that your grandkids and your kids are going to have, whether it's just taking a walk or swimming in the lake or the river or going kayaking or whatever it may be, if all they remember is that, hey, we saw Dad on Sundays or Mom on Sundays, and all the other time he was working or she was working, that's not what you want their core memories to be. And so it's been a huge change. But and I'm not there yet, and I'm still, still making changes and still working through stuff, but it's been probably one of the worst, the most worthwhile journeys, I've had.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's always a work in progress.
Oh, always. Yeah. Yeah. And I think when we did the video for the Beyond Pink event last year, I kind of shared where my aha moment came from. And I don't think I've done that yet here. So, social media is it has its blessings and its curses, right?
Absolutely.
And so, but I was kind of, roaming through Instagram, and I saw this quote by Paul Coelho, I think is his name. But, and I kind of paraphrased it, but it was really about, don't be perfect, right? Don't try and make changes to become something new, right? Make changes to unbecome things that you were never meant to be, right? Yeah. So it's really unbecoming things that you were never meant to be. And that kind of became my mantra of, I was never meant to be 240 pounds. I was a really fit college athlete and just was very active, and active with my kids. And then, somehow late 40s, here I am, 240 pounds, I was never meant to be ingesting all of the crap that I was ingesting. Our human body isn't meant to do that. Yeah. I wasn't meant to be ignoring my spiritual health. So it was really taking a look at all of the things that I had become and unbecoming the things that I was never meant to be.
Wow.
So that was before I even started anything. And that was, even through the fog of grief, there's still a lot of soul searching that happens. And I had never really asked the question why, and I don't think I have yet. Yeah. But it's one of those where it was like, okay, what was this meant to teach me?
Yeah.
You know, what do we need to learn from this?
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of it was about choices and about making the right ones, you know, for your family, for yourself,
Yeah.
you know, and making sure that you know what's important. And then just taking a look at where I was. And I didn't like where I was.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
having to get up every day and
Yeah.
choose something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
What advice would you give someone who's kind of maybe trying to embark on a journey like that to change their health, change their well-being?
I think it all starts with that first step, right? And for some people, it's just the commitment to, hey, you know what? I need to do this. I know I need to do this. If you're not someone who's a self-starter, find someone who can do it with you.
Yeah.
You know, find a buddy. It doesn't mean that they're going to do it with you, but they can be an accountability buddy.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's one of your kids or whether it's adult children, I should say. You know, your 18-month-old is not going to hold you accountable.
No, he's not.
Yeah. You know, a friend, a neighbor. You know, finding someone who will do it with you. And, you know, I was used to kind of holding myself accountable, you know, through college and through my adult life. So it was one of those things where I was like, okay, I got to do this. My kids aren't going to lose another parent. It just can't happen. And so really just that first step can be just a commitment or it can be an actual physical thing. And I would highly suggest, you know, go in and get a physical. Figure out what's happening, whether it's with a naturopath or whether it's with an MD, you know, nurse practitioner, whoever it may be. But just start with and just go and say, hey, here's my goals. Is there anything keeping me from doing this?
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, if there's not, then you just have to be patient with yourself.
Yeah.
You know, I tried to do a lot. I was working out and I was starting to get tunnel vision with my trainer and my ears were ringing and, you know, it was, and she's like, okay, I think we might need to see a cardiologist and figure out what's going on. And and everything was fine. It just turns out that I was pushing myself before my heart was ready. Because it's a muscle and it needs to get exercised. And here I am 2 months into this thinking that I can go ahead and just work myself like the college athlete that I used to be. And my body wasn't there. My muscles weren't there. My heart wasn't there. And it's just being patient with yourself with all the ups and the downs and just keep moving forward.
So was there anyone who helped you through this process or?
You know, always your tribe, right?
Yeah.
You know, for me, it's my sister, my brother, my mom, my kids, my grandkids. You know, I've got some amazing close friends, and just checking in. You know, and thankfully, you know, I've got some people in my life who are chasers. So if they didn't hear from me, you know, they were like, okay, I haven't heard from her in a couple weeks, so we're just going to track her down and find out what's going on. So, you know, and that's always nice. And so, yeah, I just have to, you know, give my tribe credit for just really, really locking in and just supporting. But they've been there, you know, when Lee got diagnosed and all the way through that, and then after passing and all the way to here. So it's, they've been an amazing group of people.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's important to have.
Yeah. I am blessed.
What would you want someone to know and understand about thermography and that process if they were completely new to it?
Oh man, there's so much, but it's a great tool. It's another tool in the arsenal to fight breast cancer and to be aware of what's happening in your breast tissue, and it's another test to layer on. And to really use in tandem with all of the other information that you have. If you have a history of breast cancer in your family or don't, you know, we have fibroid tumors in our family, no breast cancer, but, you know, and so it's just one of those things to really understand what's happening in your own body. And it really took the scariness away of my mammograms.
Oh, that's great.
Because it just, you know, you just kind of go, okay, till you get those results, you're like, you know, because what's it going to mean, you know, and it really took that away. Which was really good.
That's great. And it's good that you use it all in conjunction. That's Gives you so much more information
It does.
than just one form of testing.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, it's taking care of yourself and actually going and doing the things.
Yep.
I think that was another thing we talked a lot about last year is people, particularly women, don't take the time to take care of themselves.
Because they're taking care of everybody else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So carving out that time to have.
Yeah. And, I know you've heard this, but you tend to think of it as, the mask on the airplane, right? You've got to put it on yourself before you can help the person next to you.
Exactly.
And, that was kind of told to us over and over again, when I was caretaking for Lee, is that you've got to take care of yourself because you can't take care of Lee, the best way that you want to if you're not taking care of yourself. And I disregarded that. And it was all about him, right? Mm-hmm. It was all about him. And I don't think I would change anything.
Yeah.
But it got to the point where nobody was taking care of me, including me.
Yeah.
And so when that happens, you have to stop and take a look. And you just have to go, okay. Yeah.
Yep. And sometimes there's a wake-up call that you...
Yeah. Thankfully, I didn't have a wake-up call, right? It was one of those where it was just like, coming out of the fog, the grieving fog, and just kind of realizing that I didn't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
And not like here, but I didn't want to be at this, this place in my life of 240 pounds and sedentary and eating gross stuff. And it was a really... kind of aha moment for me. Mm-hmm. And, it started with that Paul Coelho quote, and then it just kind of started, and I made a list. I actually made a list of all the things that I was not happy with. And then I looked at those and I'm like, well, okay, am I not happy with that because I'm not doing something or I am doing something, or is it because I'm not supposed to be happy with that? And so, my weight, I wasn't doing anything about it. So of course I was unhappy with that. But my relationship with God, that's on me too, right?
Yeah.
God hasn't done anything. He's still there. So it was taking a look at all those aspects and, really looking at, okay, I have to do the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual.
Yeah.
And it's a journey. And every one of those just starts with a step.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing that you've been able to do so much in kind of a short period of time.
Yeah, it's been about 4 years now, but
That's a lot.
Even through COVID, which is crazy. But I was working at home already, for 10 years before then. But so it was a really cool thing to just be able to kind of watch this and get to a point where, I can honestly say like Lee would have to get to know me now because I have changed, enough in, what is important and how it's important and where I spend my time and who I spend my time with. Yeah. And so, I think he'd be proud, but he'd still have to get to know me again. So, yeah.
Well, that's a pretty amazing thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, is there anything we didn't cover that you wanted to talk about?
I want to talk about volunteering, if you don't mind.
Yes, absolutely. Because I was just going to say, we just had an event committee meeting.
Yeah.
We've talked so much about the event coming up, and this should come out right before the event. So this would be perfect. Talk about volunteering, talk about what you're excited about for the event without giving anything away.
Every year I get excited just to see the outfits and to see, the different designers that are there. And they are just so brilliant. And I think last year we had a teenager, right?
Not
last year. Okay. But we had a young new designer, though, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And then in 2018, we had a high school student.
Which is just crazy because the level of professionalism and what they do and the skits and the dances and we had singers.
Yes.
I mean, we've got live vocals happening and it's just, it's mind blowing and it's amazing. And it can't be done without a slew of volunteers.
Gosh, yes.
And, I can't think of a better organization and a more organized group. And I've worked with a lot of nonprofits in Spokane and gone to their events and that kind of stuff. And I just really appreciate the leadership, the board, and you guys find the best people to lead committees and lead groups. And it's such a fun event and it's so worthwhile. And And I think, and we have repeat volunteers coming back every year.
Yeah.
There's dozens and dozens that are coming back every year. And if you're looking for something that is a quality organization that is so important, just reach out to Beyond Pink. You can find them on, website, Facebook, Instagram, right?
And now TikTok.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
Wow.
We have branched out.
Oh, you've gone to the dark side.
It's a lot of work.
It is.
It is so much work I'm learning. But TikTok too.
Wow, that's awesome. But they just, it just can't happen without a lot of the good people from the area. And so, we need them in, the ballroom. We need them set up. We need takedown. We need, in the silent auction. We need check-in. We need check-out.
We need dressers and boxers.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
And I think, there's been a couple years where we had more than one person doing like 3 or 4 jobs, throughout the whole evening. We'd like for people to be able to go home at a reasonable hour, but it's one of those things where you just walk away feeling like you've conquered the world.
Yeah.
Because it just, especially at the end of that, you guys are exhausted. We're all exhausted. They're throwing things on,
tired.
Right? But I think you just walk away with a sense of just absolute accomplishment. And it's such an awesome group.
Yeah. I call that the event high.
Yeah.
Because
you'll crash for 3 days later.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, if you can.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just not an option.
Yeah.
And you just get sleep and take a bath when you can. But I'm getting very excited, and I'm so grateful for the volunteers that we have. It's a great group of people, and they all work their buns off to make that event happen.
And we're doing it earlier this year. So
yes, September 23rd.
So everybody's working a little faster, a little harder.
A little harder.
Yeah.
But we have 9 designers again this year, which is amazing. Some really great designs coming down.
Yeah.
A couple new folks and a lot of returning veteran designers, which
that's so cool.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
I wish I would have had half of their talent. But
oh, right. Yeah. I could dress my Barbie and that's about it because the clothes were already made. Yeah. That was pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah. The things they come up with, I'm blown away, and I'm really excited to see some of the designs for this year.
And the other thing that's really cool is the donations that we get for the baskets and for the live auction items. I mean, it impresses me every year. We've got trips, I'm like, holy mackerel, and lodges and ski things, and just, I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. We have been able to amass a really good base of donors who, it makes my job a little easier, where you just go to them and say, it's that time of year again. And they're like, absolutely. Right. And they come up with a basket or a package for us. And it's always amazing.
That's really cool.
I think last year we had 125 silent auction packages.
Yeah. Well, we had to come up with like 3 extra tables, I think, to house them all last year.
So we're hoping to have about the same amount this year.
That's awesome.
We should have some good stuff. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Yep. And come see us in the silent auction room, because I'm there and we have a lot of fun.
And we have some really great folks in that room too. Yeah. You guys are having fun.
Oh, we do. We have a lot of fun, and we it's fun to see everybody and how they're dressing up, and the gowns and the tuxes. And last year that what was it, the Sandy Brown checker tux that guy wore was amazing. Yeah, it's just fun to see what everybody's wearing, and just kind of get dressed up and
have fun.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Because it is not only for a great cause, but it's just a really good time.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm biased, obviously, but I've been to a lot of benefits, and this one is so unlike any other, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, and we're making some great changes for this year, so
yes, we are.
Be fun.
I'm excited.
Stay tuned.
Yes, and buy your tickets now.
They're live.
Yes, tickets are on sale now. Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. And I'm really glad you got to share your story again.
Thanks. I
really
appreciate
love
that.
Hearing it.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And you're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.